Hey guys, it's Jackson. I am doing the video for the open-ended essay, and I chose 2009 Form B, the open-ended essay 1, as the essay that I'm going to talk about. So the prompt on this essay is many works of literature deal with political or social issues. Choose a novel that focuses on a political or social issue, then write an essay in which you analyze how the author uses literary elements to explore this issue and explain how the issue contributes to the meaning of the work as a whole. Do not merely summarize the plot. So, upon analyzing the prompt, I kind of bolded in a couple of the key things that you guys need to take away from when looking at a prompt that's similar to this one. And that is so the political or social issue concept is just kind of the meat of the essay and what you're going to write on. That's if you saw an essay that said political or social issue, you're going to want to think of a novel that clearly has a clearly defined political or social issue and something that you could write on. And then I bolded analyze how the author uses literary elements to explore this issue. So you want to, once you think of your novel with the clearly defined political or social issue, you're going to want to think of some literary elements that explore whichever issue you chose. And then you're going to explain how that issue contributes to the meaning of the work as a whole. And so you're going to use the literary element to explore this issue and then use that into how it contributes to the meaning of the work as the whole. And then I underlined, do not merely summarize the plot. Mr. Harris has told us that a number of times, so you just always want to be careful to not just get into summary and to make sure you kind of have some clear analytical arguments. So the list of books for this prompt on the 2009 Form B essay are right here. And upon looking at it, you can see a couple books you may have read. We all read The Grapes of Wrath. Some of you may have read Gulliver's Travel, and we have Uncle Tom's Cabin over here that some of you may have read, and then To Kill a Mockingbird, which we read. We read some excerpts from The Things They Carried. Some of you may have read 1984 or Julius Caesar. So there's a couple ones in there, and then always on the open-ended essay, it says that you're allowed to choose a novel of equal literary value, which we see that the author did in my example essay. So how to begin the essay? So you're going to make a plan. So this is just always, you see the prompt, then you're going to kind of think in your head how to attack this prompt, and obviously a good book that would be able to relate to the prompt that's at hand. And then you want to begin quickly and directly because we only have a limited amount of time, and you have the open-ended essay, the poetry analysis, and then the other essays. So you definitely always want to be quick and efficient when you are beginning to write your essay. You want to use paragraphs and topic sentences, just a clearly organized and defined essay to see and receive a good score. Quotations and explanations of those quotations will allow you to reach a better score just because you'll have examples to back up your arguments. You always want to create variety, and then finding the right words, diction, word choice. Mr. Harris has talked to us a lot about that over the last couple years, and you want to make sure you're not using any be verbs, and then as always have clearly defined arguments. So the example essay, which was for the 2009 Form B essay, I showed you guys the list of books earlier, and then I said that you can choose a book that's of equal literary value. So the author of this particular essay chose Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, which we read this year. And the author on the essay scored an 8, and I'll show you guys an example here in a bit, and he discussed imperialism as his social issue, and then how it relates to the novel, which formed the core of the essay. And as I'll show you guys, it's a really strong essay. Even though it wasn't one of the books that was listed, he still chose this book and did a really good job. I guess he or she did a really good job explaining how this social topic related to the novel as a whole, and obviously scored a really good score of an 8. So the intro paragraph on this essay starts with the horror are the last words of Kurtz, a main character of Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. They are uttered in a faint whisper by a giant of a man as he looks back on his imperialistic life and realizes how incredibly terrible and evil his actions have been. Throughout this novel, Conrad exposes the evils of imperialism through symbols and allusions, enhancing the overall meaning of the work that there is an innate evil inside every human being. So again, back to the prompt really quick. You wanted to choose a work of literature that deals with political or social issues, and then choose a novel that focuses on a political or social issue. So going back to the intro paragraph, you can see that the author used symbols and allusions as his literary devices, and how it enhanced the overall meaning of the work, and then the social issue of innate evil being inside every human being, and then also the imperialistic life and how evil his actions have been. So just some strengths and weaknesses of the intro paragraph. Some strengths are that he uses literary devices, like we talked about, symbols and allusions. And then he uses good diction, and there's a strong thesis statement that the two literary devices that he lined out, and then how it relates to the direct social issue at hand. And then some of the weaknesses are that he's somewhat vague, although he does do a good job in his thesis. He may have been able to expand further on this and maybe have scored a 9 if he went into more detail about which symbols and allusions he uses, which he does do later in the essay. And then he does use a be verb of is in the thesis statement, which we would like to try and avoid. So the example essays of the body paragraphs, you guys can pause this and read through it if you want to, but you can just kind of see like he uses imperialism and just some really good, strong language, and diction, which we talked about when you were trying to begin a good essay. And then it talks about how he uses allusions, which the author described in the intro paragraph to unveil his disapproval of imperialism. He uses some good examples from the book, and then he uses a good quote of the city, and then the whited sculpture, and then he also refers to an allusion to the Bible where Jesus calls the Pharisees to refer to their hypocrisy. So some more the example essay and some body paragraphs in this essay that scored an 8. Just you can kind of read through this and pause it, but you can just kind of see that the author definitely uses strong arguments, and he uses good examples to back up his arguments, and again, his diction within the essay is very strong as well. So we're going to talk about some strengths and weaknesses of the body paragraphs, which we just looked at. So some strengths, and these were clearly highlighted in the grader's report of the essay. So some strengths are the literary devices and how he uses them, that they serve as strategies to convey the political disapproval by the author. He has some direct and indirect references that support his main argument, with human beings having an innate evil inside each and every one of them. And although there are some weaknesses, which he could have maybe scored a 9 instead of an 8 on there, and that some of the details from the novel are actually inaccurately recalled, which we definitely want to stay away from that, because that can maybe just take away from the argument that you're trying to convey. And he is somewhat vague in some of the places where this could have been expanded upon, but overall those were 3 examples of just three very strong points inside the body paragraphs of this author's essay. And then, so the example essay conclusion, which conclusions are a really important part of the essay. They kind of conclude on the points you were trying to make, and if you can do it effectively, it wraps up on the arguments you're trying to convey efficiently, and that will just leave the reader with the lasting impact of what you're trying to portray in the essay. So I'll read it to you guys. So, Heart of Darkness is essentially a political novel protesting imperialism in an age where Europe was obsessed with expansion, and the saying, quote, "the sun never sets on the British Empire," end quote, was literally true. Through symbols and allusions, Conrad tries out against imperialism, which he believes will lead Europeans to face their innately evil nature, as Kurtz does when he whispers, "The horror, the horror." Imperialism leads Europeans to Africa, a yet uncivilized continent with an immense silence and solitude permeating the land. This forces the Europeans to become introspective and dis, um, discard the discard of the evil inside them. So, just reading through that, it seemed like a very strong, it was a pretty long concluding paragraph, but it was easy to see that the author uses really strong word diction, word choice, and that the author uses good example quotes to convey his final points. And so, just a couple of strengths I listed off here is that the essay concludes by linking detailed observation with large scale contextualizing discussion. So, he uses two quotes and he kind of explains the quotes in a concluding fashion that lead to his overall, that just lead to the overall effectiveness of the essay in portraying the argument that he was trying to have come across. And then in the weaknesses, just kind of throughout the essay, he had some inaccurate facts, which the grader's report kind of talked about why the author did not score a 9 on the essay. So thanks for watching, guys. Please feel free to ask me if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to kind of explain it more and to explain how you can attack an open-ended essay specifically dealing with a political or social issue if we do run into that into the AP test at the beginning of May. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Harris can maybe help clarify things too if you guys need it. So thanks for watching.